Hello and welcome back to another book review. In today's episode, I will be reviewing the book Dewey. Now let us check out the book cover design. It has Dewey, the main character, the cat, sitting on a book in his library, looking very awesome and very cute. I think it's a really nice book cover design. Now, as a fun fact, I'm gonna tell you a little secret about myself. If you would know me in my personal life, you would know that I really like cats. I'm a cat person. But dogs are also cool animals. And if you're not convinced by that I'm a cat person, I have this book. I have this book, and this, and this, and this, and this right here, and this right here. So yeah, I really like cats. What can I say? I'm a cat person. Okay, so Dewey. This book tells a story about this cat. His name is Dewey, and he was found in a library mailbox. Well, basically the box where they return books when the library is closed. He was found there when he was just a little kitten, and the staff of the library decided to keep him as a library cat. And this book basically describes his story there, his whole life in the library. And the story starts at the beginning of his life, when he was just a little kitten found inside the library return book box, or I don't know how to say it. And it was a very cold December morning that day, and he was barely just alive, but he was saved by the library staff. And then it goes on to describe how he got his name. Dewey was actually his temporary name, but they decided to keep it that way, so he's Dewey now. And how he basically became a library, mascot, how he became library's mascot, and then even the town's mascot. The story takes place in the USA, I think it's Iowa, I'm not too sure. But yeah, basically he became famous over the years, not only in his state, but around the whole USA and even around the world. And it describes his daily life with the staff at the library, how he liked to play hide and seek after every visitor went home, or how he would take a ride on those library carts where they would stash the books, to put them on the shelves, or how he would jump up on the lights, or how he escaped and he was found a few days later, a few blocks away, very dirty, and he never decided to escape again after that, or how he loved eating elastics for some reason, I don't know, and how he was a very picky eater. Basically, he wanted different cat food every single week. So yeah, he was very picky. Even my cat's not that picky when it comes to eating. And I like how this story basically describes his whole life, from his kitten years to his final day in the library, when he sadly passed away and he was buried in front of the library. And despite the fact that he lived in a small town library, he got quite famous, that even some news station decided to film a few documentaries about him. And at some point in his life, even a Japanese news station decided to come visit him for a few days to film a documentary about him. Isn't that crazy? Now I'm gonna tell you another fun fact about this book. It's very special to me. Why? Because it was my very first book that I purchased with my own money. Well, I owned book before this one, but they were all bought for me by my parents, and this was the very first one that I bought myself with my own money. And this was back in 2010, so 14 years ago, when I was just 10 years old. Isn't that a bit crazy? And I've read it once, 14 years ago, when I bought it, when I was just 10 years old. And I've read it again. I started last month, and yeah, this is my first book of the year 2024. It was on my shelf for 14 years, and then I decided at the new year that it was finally time to read it again, because I basically forgot almost everything that takes place in this story, which is, if you didn't realize yet, based on true events. Now, one thing I didn't like about this book when I was 10 years old, when I was first reading it, is that some chapters here and there, they don't talk about the cat Dewey, they talk about his owner, which is I forgot her name, but basically she's the boss of the library. And yeah, it talks about her family history, how she was growing up, and her town history and stuff like that. And 10-year-old me, it didn't care about that stuff at all, so I didn't read those chapters. I just skipped over them. I was more interested in the cat, well, I still am. But I just wanna say that this is gonna sound wrong, but I feel like those few chapters that talk about the lady owner of the cat and the story about the town where he was living, they kind of hijack the book, the story. I mean, they are fine written, there's nothing wrong about them, but you know, I bought this book because I want to read about the cat. I don't really care that much about your owner's history or history about your town, you know. I am interested in the cat, so please focus on the cat, the Dewey. But yeah, and I just want to say that when those few chapters in Dewey talk about his owner personal life and the story behind his town where he lives, I mean, there are quite good chapters, you know, there's nothing wrong with them, but I think that they don't really fit that much in the book. They kind of stand out, and I just want to say that there are some similar chapters in this book, the street cat Bob, and a few similar chapters that also don't talk about Bob, but they talk about his owner, and I think they are a bit better written than the chapters in Dewey. You know, they fit more to the book. They fit there, how to put it, they fit inside the story more naturally. Meanwhile, in Dewey, they kind of stand out, you know. It's hard to explain. You would have to read both books to understand what I'm trying to say. But in my second reading of this book, which was this month, I decided to finally read those chapters that don't talk about the cat. And I'm gonna say they're not that bad, but I don't think 10-year-old me would still want to read them, but you know, I'm more grown up now. So yeah, they're not that bad. I think they're fine. But still, if I could choose, I would still put them out of the book and replace them with more content and stories about the cat, about Dewey, the library cat. And at the end, the story does get quite a bit emotional. I mean, you start the book with how the Dewey, the cat, was found, and you know, you follow his life through the years and years and all his adventures and all the stuff he's been through and how he got famous, and he's been on TV and in newspapers and stuff like that, and he gets older and older and he gets more lazy, you could say. You know, he doesn't have that energy anymore. And then the day arrives when he's sadly put down because he has a tumor on his stomach or intestines. And yeah, it does get pretty sad to read about that. It does get pretty emotional. As a funny story, like I said, I didn't read this book in 14 years, so I actually forgot that this book was set in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. I thought this was more modern, but yeah, I was pretty surprised that Dewey was found in the late 80s and not much later like I thought he was. Okay, it's time to rate this book from 1 to 10. Like I said, I think it's a fantastic book and it's a really nice book cover. It has a really nice book cover. And besides those few chapters that, I mean, they are fine, but they don't really fit in that well. Otherwise it's pretty well written book, you know. So I will give it 7.5 out of 10. So 7.5 out of 10 for Dewey. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Smash that like button. And I will see you in the next book review video. Bye bye.